Welcome to another episode of Turning Coal into Diamonds. I love it. I love the energy. It's all great because what you guys just did not see is like a whole maybe 15 minutes of a bunch of technical difficulties. But today we have Deshawn Cavanaugh.
Hey.
Hey, introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I am Deshawn Cavanaugh. I am originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I moved out here 5 years ago to pursue acting and other creative endeavors, and I am a professional actor.
Yes, he is. Any quick plugs that you want to plug real fast, or should we wait to the end? I know you're working on a few things.
I've always got something in the works.
List them.
Quick one. Saved by the Bell is coming out on NBC Peacock. They just released the teaser on Instagram, which I'm a part of that show. I'm a member of the cast. We're still waiting to finish a few episodes.
Oh, snap. Yeah,
we were supposed to release in April. So now I'm wondering what is going to happen. It's still going to be released, but just keep your eyes out, guys. It's Mario Lopez, Elizabeth Berkley, a lot of members from the original cast, a lot of great new cast, and I'm in there. So it's a lot of fun.
Yes. I'm definitely going to be watching for you, and I'm definitely going to be watching for Mario Lopez.
Of course, yeah. And by the way, he's a great scene partner. He is very fun. They let me do improv with him, and he's good. Yeah.
How was that?
It was fun. It's really cool being on a set of a show that's already been successful in the past, because it kind of has this safety net of we know the fans are going to come back and at least check this out.
Yes.
And the cast and crew was amazing. So it was a blast. That was the kind of biggest project I started working on in 2020. I also am going to be featured in a feature film called R#J, which is like a Romeo and Juliet story retelling that's going to be at some film festivals and potentially on some streaming platforms. So yeah.
Love it. So real quick, I have a question. While you're explaining that, I was just thinking about, do you even know about the original Saved by the Bell? Because you're kind of young.
Yes. So I did watch it because I had the audition.
Oh my goodness.
No, of course I know the show, but I don't know that like that. I had to do a little quick refresher, and
got it.
Some of the episodes are pretty dated. I don't think it holds up like some other old shows do, because it was just a really specific time period. It was a really big sitcom with laughter and all that. Yeah.
First she's. I remember I was watching it actually.
Oh, how old?
But speaking of which, so kind of things have kind of slowed down with the filming of that or producing of that. What have you been filling up your time with, the Corona and quarantine situation?
Right. Yeah. Quarantine has been something that us in LA, we've been experiencing, I feel like, for the longest amount of time, just because we're informed. So my roommates have been keeping me pretty up to date. So I'm a little ahead of the curve. I've been quarantining for 4 or 5 weeks now.
Yeah.
And
same.
It's starting to get to the point where at first it was okay, cool, let's just chill. And then there was a point where okay, let's party, let's have fun.
Okay.
And now it's to the point where it's okay, now we need to balance out the dopamine levels in our brain and make sure that we're doing hard work so that we earn all this playing that we're doing. You know what I mean?
Good for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to be sitting at home all day, but if you find things to do and things to create, checking anything off of a checklist is always
for sure. And so I know that you, as much as you are a actor, you do music. Have you been doing music endeavors, or is that some of the stuff creatively you've been up to?
Absolutely, yeah. Music. I think music is really gonna thrive within 2021 because many people are trapped inside in their studios.
Yeah.
Nothing but time.
Yeah.
And I have a band. We're called TBC Records. You can find us at TBC Records on Instagram. You can find us on Apple Music and Spotify. We have 3 songs out on Apple Music and Spotify. Good Vibes, This Is a Feeling, and Red Light, Green Light. If you look up This Is a Feeling. That's the easiest one to find. We're kind of like a hip hop boy band, but yeah, we've been spending at least one day a week together, writing and just producing stuff. And I started working on some solo stuff. It's one of those things where it's just good to have something to work on, even if you're just getting a little bit better every day.
Yeah. Honestly, you said you think that music will really take off in 2021. I actually really think I agree with that. And just creatively, I think a lot of things are going to be getting done 2021. Because I think a lot of people, one, we're running, at least for me, I'm running out of stuff to watch. So like there's
Right.
like I'm running out of stuff to listen to and all of those kind of things. But I know for myself, I think that knowing, tapping into Zoom, tapping into like Insta Lives, tapping into those things, I really feel like I've been able to reach more people.
Yep.
Especially because people are on their phone, like they're kind of
Right.
you know what I mean? So I think creatively, a lot of people are going to be up to things, putting things out. So I'm really excited, actually, what 2021 will look like creatively. Just like even just seeing the amount of open calls and auditions still that have still been coming through. Like even though we're not in the room, and people outside of the entertainment world may not understand, but like self-tapes have been starting to be a really big deal. Just kind of with self-tapes versus self-tape is like where you basically you film your audition from your home or wherever you need to go, studio if you need to. And then a live audition, you're in the room. Basically.
You go to the place and you see the casting. But I think self-tapes have just been getting more and more popular throughout the industry the past like 5 years. And now this is just like a catalyst where it's like, okay, well now we can't. And I think a lot of casting agencies, I've noticed a lot of them aren't really casting anything right now because a lot of productions are on hold, so there's nothing happening. But what I've noticed they've been doing, and my manager has sent me a couple of these, and I think you mentioned it with the open calls, it's like some of these casting agents have gone through their old pairs of sides and characters and roles, and they've put them online, and they said, hey, anybody around the world, I get it, you guys are all trapped inside, here's something for you guys to work on. And if you know, if the next Tom Hanks is sitting out there in Michigan and just happens to see this post and has his phone, you know what I mean? It's like anybody can do it now, which I think is really cool and important.
I think
it took them a little while to start doing it.
I know, right? Like who would have thunk in 2020 we're just getting, and I think that's just amazing too, because I feel like a lot of people think that you have to be in a certain city or a certain thing to be seen. And like, I even know when I first moved out to LA, comedy wasn't so much on my radar, but I didn't feel like I would have thrived comedy in Baltimore, Maryland, or in Hartford County, Maryland, where I was. You know what I mean? And I think this gives a huge opportunity, like I was saying, like through Zoom and live and all this stuff, where people from Michigan or wherever, you know, Utah,
Minnesota, whatever.
How do you have a preference about like since we're on it, like self-tapes versus live auditions, things like that?
Yes, it depends on the project.
There is a huge difference in the feeling. Yeah. And there are pros and cons to both, which is like we all can list them.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so many pros and cons to both. But the thing about self-tapes that is better, I mean, I'll just talk about the pros. The pros of self-tapes, if you have a really intense scene where you have to like be bawling, crying, you can literally take 8 hours to get yourself to that place and do all this, or take 100 takes. If you have to go into the room, you have to do it one time. You have to do it one time good. And if you are good, they might ask you to do it again. Other than that, that's it. But if you're doing it at home, you can do it 100 times and just send them number 99, you know?
Yeah. Luckily, I'm not doing any bawling, crying roles.
Yeah. I mean, I think me and you both do a lot of like comedy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And and that's what I do love about self-tapes is being able to just redo it or even just be like, for me, there's been a moment of I just know that another take fresh in the morning might be better than me coming. Because sometimes people don't realize too, you get an audition, like you could be at dinner with your homies or whatever, and at 6 p.m., okay, you have a self-tape, or you have, you know what I mean? It comes at all out. And sometimes it's also, I want to be the first one that sends it. So I'm like, okay, I got to.
It's a good thing. It's good to be sooner. That's what all the casting people say. It's good to send it in as soon as possible, but also sending in your best work is just as important. So, you know, doing whatever it takes. Yeah. I've had times where because I always try to get self-tape auditions done as soon as possible because they like seeing them early. But I've had times where like I'll do it, I'll like send it in, and then the next day I'm like, damn, should I have waited? Because I feel like I have the lines in my head now better than I could have yesterday, you know?
But there's something, it's interesting you say that, because there's something that Because for a lot of people that don't know me, I started doing comedy and I came to like, I did improv and then got into acting and, you know, podcasting, hosting, like things have just led it. It wasn't like I just jumped into acting.
Right.
But there was something that you said to me that I really took note on when I started getting a lot of auditions. And it was like, you just audition and then kind of forget about it. And I really took that because sometimes I would get into those modes of being like, oh, should I have done it this way or should I have done it this or like even just
and you
checking
can't.
the email a few times.
And you're like rereading the email. Did I miss it?
Yeah.
No, but that's something my buddy Nick Galarza, who's an actor and musician, he's called Player One in his music, but he's been acting for a long time and he's from New Jersey, so he's got that kind of like, I'm just doing my thing, you know?
Yeah.
And he told me, he's like,
I
you go in there, you go into the room, you do what you can do, and then you forget about that shit, man. You just leave it. Because if they do hit you up, then it's a nice surprise. And if they don't, they'll sweat off your back, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And so what has been, have you been inspired, like what's been inspiring you musically while you've been in quarantine?
That is a good question. I've been asking myself that the past couple of days.
Yeah.
Because like making beats is something where the sound inspires itself. But when it comes to writing lyrics, it's like that's where your life or what you're experiencing informs the art that you create.
Yeah.
And I wrote a verse yesterday, and in one of the verses, like the line that I wrote is, I think you saw it on Instagram. It's like, I'm gassing it up. I got all the gas. Stay 6 feet apart. Yo, where is your mask? Or something like that. And it's like, damn, this is what I'm thinking about, yo. Like,
that's so funny. Yeah, I did see that. I love that.
Yeah.
That was actually, it cracked me up. I love that.
But it's tough though. It's tough because it's like, I can't, if you're writing topically about like what's happening in the world today, your art is good for now, but then you know, it's not one of those staple pieces that people will come throughout time. You know, you got a good pair of jeans in your closet, you can wear those jeans forever. But if you have a shirt that's got a band name on it that's only popular right now, you know, it's one of those things where it's like finding the balance of like topical comedy or storytelling or whatever, you know?
You say that, but I see people rocking Nirvana and Slipknot shirts, and I don't know.
Maybe not bands.
Yeah.
maybe that was a bad example.
I'm like, I don't even know who they are, but I know. Well, actually, I do know Nirvana and Slipknot barely, but I know them barely.
Okay, yeah, bands is a bad example because that's like music, but you know,
I get you.
Like if you wrote a comedy set all about the quarantine right now, it would pop. It'd be hilarious.
I know, right? Yeah.
But then 3 years from now, people will be like, I don't relate to that because that's not happening to me, you know?
I actually first experienced that with a joke when Trump was being elected for the first time, because like that whole, for the first 2 years, like that was just so funny. It was a joke. Man. And then immediately the first time I said that joke after he was elected, it was just like,
dead silence.
Oh no, we're not talking about this anymore.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, we can't laugh.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yep.
So
funny.
I have you here today, and everybody knows this podcast is called Turning Coal into Diamonds. You know, really about, because we're talking, and obviously I think both me and you can talk so positively about the things in our lives. I think we can both relate to the gratitude that we have. And there's also moments where I'm sure that things have popped up and you're like, was this the right decision? What happened? Whatever your cool moment is, what was that for you?
Well, I feel like everything you're saying in my career or related
anywhere.
Yeah. I think I remember things a lot of times as like lucky moments in my life. You know what I mean? Like, especially with my acting career, maybe it's not that I'm the most talented or what. I mean, there's always going to be somebody more talented than you, but there's never going to be somebody who is you and is in the same moment in time as you, you know? And I think
I preach today.
For me, it's like I remember specific moments. And for me, a lot of times they line up with when I booked roles. You know, I remember when I moved out of my dad's house almost a little over 2 years ago now, I had no money and I didn't know how I was going to pay my first month's rent. And it was just like, fuck it, I just don't want to be there anymore. I want to be pursuing acting full time. You know, he was making me go to community college. I wasn't having that. And it was crazy because within a week of me moving out of my dad's place, I booked my first commercial.
Oh, yes.
My first
Yes.
like professional acting gig that paid me over $500,
Yeah.
and that paid for my first month's rent. And it was just like, wow,
Ooh, where are you
when you
living?
right, it was like $800. I don't know. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
sharing
I
a room
got
with my cousin at the time in studios
you.
there in Panorama City. We
That's
had a
rare for
studio,
Los
and
Angeles. Everybody knows.
yeah, it's not cheap. But yeah, like moments like that, and like just things where it's like you I'm the type of person who likes to jump and then hope that the safety net will appear. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yes. Well, it
I
looks like it
believe that safety
has.
net will appear.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's
exactly. It
kind of what's been
definitely
happening.
will.
It feels good.
And so, what do you think has what do you think it took to get to that point where you were just like, I'm gonna leave dad's place and do my own thing? Like, what was that?
Yeah.
Because it takes balls.
Yeah, it takes a certain type of character or an ability to be flexible. You know, commitment is an important thing, and if it's something that you sign up for, I'm a big believer in like, yo, stick by your word. But my mom is also like, my mom was with my dad, and you know, it wasn't a great situation for her. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but
Yeah.
basically, it's like, yo, she chose this dude. She had a kid with this dude, but she decided that she didn't want to be with him. She decided that she was going to turn, and for her in life, everything I did, regardless of if I was playing soccer and I was the goalie or whatever, if I changed my mind about something, she would like never make me feel guilty for doing something else. Like I remember I played soccer in like 8th grade, and for some reason I wanted to play goalie one day, and I was better than the goalie we had. So then the coach was like, okay, you're going to be the new goalie. And then the next game came around, and for some reason I didn't want to go to the game. I was just being a lazy kid, and she didn't make me go. But I always think about that. I'm like, damn, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because if she would have like forced me to stick with it, maybe I could have been a fantastic goalie. But then also the fact that I wasn't super enthused about it,
Yeah.
you know, and it wasn't what I wanted to be doing, you know, and she was fine with that. So I think it's one of those things where you have to be okay with being able to take that left turn, that right turn. But once you do, like with me for acting, when I made the turn to go to acting, I've been doing this for 5 years straight. I haven't like, there's days where I wake up and I doubt myself, and there's many, many, many days where I go through the whole day and I don't do any acting at all. But for the past 5 years, I've woken up and told myself, I am an actor, I am an actor, I am an actor.
Wow.
And
That's important.
every once in a while, a casting director will say it back to me, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and give me a job, and that validates me, and that little bit of motivation helps me move on. Like walking up a staircase, you look at the
Yeah.
steps that you've taken to help, you know, keep moving.
And I
Yeah.
think it's important too that we talk about even claiming where you want to be or who you are innately, because I do think that there is a stigma too that some people say, oh, you're an actor, but it's like, oh, but what's your resume or your credits
Right.
and stuff like that, or what are you working on? And I see where people definitely go in that route. And I do think that there is a power in waking up in the morning, because I believe in like affirmations and like
Absolutely.
morning
100%.
practices, whatever the case may be, what that looks like for you. But believing in affirmations, I know the power of just like, I'm an actor. I don't do the same thing with acting, which maybe I should, but with comedy, like especially when I'm writing and when I'm just being inspired, like I'm a funny bitch. Like I'm
I am funny. I'm hilarious. If I don't believe I'm funny, why would everybody else?
Exactly, you know. And because I am a believer too, and RuPaul says it beautifully. I'm just gonna steal this line: if you don't love yourself, how the hell is anybody else gonna? You know what I mean? Like it's
That's
just
the
like
truth, man.
it starts with you. And I think I flubbed that line, but either way, people got it.
Yeah, the moral
Watch
is there.
the show for the real line. Yes, the moral is there, and I do believe it starts with that yourself, and I think you got to that point, and I love that, or you're at that point, and
it's kind of a shamelessness too. It's weird because sometimes I end up making an ass out of myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we all do.
we do.
But it's like that ignorance is kind of your magic. If you let it be, you know, if you stay positive and you kind of narrow-minded about, I don't know, tunnel vision to your goal.
Yeah.
You don't let the other stuff affect you. Maybe you step on some toes or say the wrong thing, but at the end of the day, you're just trying to stay true to yourself, and you're not, you know, that's your intention.
And that's what I want other people to really get when they listen or watch this, wherever it is that those are the moments. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it is, for me, it is a belief that works for me. Like, I can't tell people how to live their life or that this is fact. And I do know that it just has worked for me when I do believe in myself, and when I put in that attention, when I put that in. And it does take practice, because like you just said too, there's days that I wake up and I'm not feeling that way.
Yeah, I'm not nothing.
I am not feeling like that bitch.
I'm disgusting. I hate it. But it's like, it's practice, and it's a discipline thing. You train your brain, you train your mind, you train your body to wake up and look in the mirror and say, you look great, you're the man, you got this. And then you will get this.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Affirmations are very important. Telling yourself something and believing it, that's the only thing that's going to really get it going. Yeah.
How have you been staying motivated? Have you had a hard time staying motivated? I know you're pretty much like a workout dude too, so that's like a thing.
Yeah, it's good to have different outlets. So like, I like to exercise, I do music. I have a bunch of different outlets to kind of keep me in line with the idea of myself, right? Because we all have egos, right?
Yes.
I am not my ego.
Oh, we'll talk about our egos.
Oh yeah, but our egos serve us though, and we have to feed our egos to an extent. But then they get hungry, me, and then that's when we can kind of sometimes accidentally step on toes, or project our feelings onto somebody else. It's like, you have to feed your ego, you have to keep your ego in check. It's your own personal little dragon. But for me, working out helps my ego dragon feel like an actor, because it's like, okay, if I'm keeping myself, I play a lot of like football players, track players, I'm a athletic casting guy,
You are, yeah.
I did not play sports in high school, just for the record. But
which is funny, I did.
and see, and this is how the LA industry works. This is the television industry.
For real.
It's like, if I do that, it helps me, like, okay, well, if I go out for another football player, at least I know I'm ready. I'm trained. I'm staying. So that's, I don't know. And it's also, there's a physical and mental connection to working out. I've been actually researching lately a lot about the chemicals that come out of our brains and motivation. This week, I actually had like a breakthrough. I watched this video that talks all about balancing your dopamine levels. And I mentioned that earlier. It's something I've been thinking about since I was a kid. It's this idea that, like, in your head, there's like this fun button, or like this happy button. And that's the dopamine chemical that your brain releases when you're happy, when you have sex, when you smoke weed, or, you know what I mean? Do things that make you feel good. And the reason that you have this is so that you develop desire, so that you can, like, it feels good when you eat, so we should probably eat, But balancing those things out, because if you wake up every morning and the first thing you do is smoke weed, or the first thing you do is go eat a bunch of junk food or play video games or watch TV, you're not balancing it out. Because it's not like, if you're trying to stay healthy and give yourself the proper nutrients, you don't just eat all day, every day, all day. No, you eat planned meals with specific things in them to give you what you need, so that when it is time to eat that junk food, you've earned it and you're able to really enjoy it, because you've got a little bit of that opposite,
I'm so there with you. I mean, I look at dance has been that for me. For the last like 6-7 years, have never really felt like I found my passion in working out until I created, like, having a dance routine and taking dance classes and things like that. And like, I love working out, but it's a matter of like, I really rely on music. And like, when I'm doing cardio, like, in my brain, I'm like dancing in a club, because I'm like, oh, if I was at a club, I could dance for 2 hours.
Yeah,
so
like,
I
would go forever.
And I'm like, and that's how I trick my brain. And then it was kind of like, oh, well, maybe take a hip hop dance class. And I've seen you on your stuff too, so we should definitely take a class together. But I definitely hear you on that, and that connectivity and how it all really works together. With that being said, I love that we're having this really, what I feel like, spiritual, existential, like, oh my goodness, the universe is working for us, not against us. All this beautiful stuff. Because me and you have had like a little moment together where we
you're gonna bring it up.
We weren't thinking about all these things, and I feel like a little ego came up.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's all it was. It was an ego off.
So let's explain the story for them. And I
Oh,
want to
no.
start it off with like Deshawn was or is a sweet
Dude, there's gonna be two different accounts going on right here. There's gonna be two different stories being told.
There's not really two stories. There's literally one story. And anyways, so and the funny thing is so stupid.
It's so stupid.
So Deshawn came to one of my shows, which it was actually he's been a few, so it's like he was supporting the homie. I want to start there because you are.
Oh yeah. I forgot that's where that started.
Friend points and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the show, we wanted to have a good time, but we wanted to go back to Deshawn's place to just like recoup.
Yeah, drink. Yeah, because there's a liquor store across the street from my house. We were like, let's get some
Exactly.
brews. Yeah,
So we go back to his place. And I actually had been already drinking a little bit because this was my show, not like, things were already happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wanted to get a little sobered up. And like, I feel like everybody's tried the whole have a piece of bread or something to get sober. So I was a nice enough guest to ask Deshawn for a slice of bread.
Okay, yep, no, this is where the story, this is where the past.
No. This is where things maybe go askew. He gave me a slice of bread, and I was so grateful for it.
You were so grateful for it? Ew, it's wheat. I don't like wheat.
That is not. I love wheat bread.
I gave you wheat bread. I said, this is my bread.
Already the story's changing.
I said, Gerard, this is my bread. You can have as much of this bread as you want.
You did not say all of that. Okay.
This is this
show podcast now, so you want to tell a difference to okay.
Food.
You guys know I wouldn't be not keeping it real. You guys know that. You guys know.
Okay, it's your show.
Let me finish. So he gives me the slice. I was grateful. That's where I left off. And then I realized, okay, that was not enough slice. Like I needed enough. So I had already asked as a good guest. I figured I could grab a slice. Like we're friends. Like who says no to a slice of bread? You know, and I had already asked. So I went to another slice of bread.
No. It wasn't a slice of bread.
Don't worry. And I later found out that it wasn't his bread. It was his roommate's bread.
But what was it, Gerard? It wasn't a slice of bread. It wasn't a slice of loaf of bread like I gave you from my wheat bread, which is brown in a square shape.
You guys hear him? You guys already hear him?
You took a white hot dog bun.
Oh, okay, fine. I mean, that seemed like a better slice of bread.
The white hot dog bun that was my roommate's looked like a better slice of bread.
I did not know it was your roommate's though. Like it's just, and I don't know. And I'm a little older too. So in my world, bread is just, it's for the household normally. You know what I mean? And what happened is you just tell me it was your roommate's bread and that's why you were upset. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I'll buy a loaf of bread if it's like I will buy a whole loaf to replace the one bun or what you said is a hot dog bun, so whatever.
Yes. Okay.
But this escalated. And I'll finish it with this. What upset me was that it turned into the rest of the night was about me taking this bread and disrespecting your household.
Dude, it was so much. Well, the thing is,
and disrespecting your roommate, which I get that you were trying to look out for the roommate. And I feel like if we bring the roommate in right now, he would be okay if somebody took his bun and it was replaced.
The thing is, I know that's not the case, and I know how awkward it would be because it would just be like, oh, I'm telling you that's not the case because he was upset. He wasn't furious by any means, but he was not happy. He was not happy. And here's the thing. The reason I think it got taken out of hand is because we were both drinking. We had a lot of friends over. We're both performers. I do remember mentioning and showing everybody which bread to use and which bread not to use. You may have missed that part of my performance.
Of your performance?
Which I was telling you, I was performing for my house guests. I say, hey, house guests, this is my bread. Everyone can have this. Boom, boom, boom. And then later,
you gave us, I imagine when you say that, like a stewardess on the airplane, And doing the hand, and this will be bread. As
okay.
There's still kind of this fire.
But let me tell you what happens next, though.
Do
you remember what happens next?
I said thank you and appreciate you.
Right. And we were being little petty asses. Let's just call it what it is. And then we're like, all right, fine. Let's just keep.
Oh no, you're breaking up. Pause for a second.
Oh, yep.
All right,
man.
Go back.
Okay.
You said we were being petty,
so
whatever.
We were both being petty, whatever. Everybody else was kind of laughing at us because of it.
Yeah, everybody was literally laughing at this.
But then we're like, you know what? Let's just go out to the bar like we said we were going to do. We said we're going to pregame, then go out to a gay bar because that's where you wanted to go, and we were all going to go dance and have fun. And we decided to take 2 different cars because I think Deja drove or something. I don't know. Something happened. Yeah. So my car is separate from your car, and all I remember was that we were going to the Abbey.
Yes.
My
god. Everybody who knows me knows that's the story is already getting.
I've never been to a gay bar, let alone the Abbey, let alone West Hollywood.
That. Yeah.
And I remember we got out of the car and I'm like, whoa, this is almost like, I feel like I'm at like Venice Beach Boardwalk because people were dressed up. It was cool. I was like, okay, fun. And I look up and I see this big sign. It says the Abbey. And there's this huge line. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Me and my friends hop in the line. We wait in this line. I think we pay to get in. And we get in.
Oh, because you went to the wrong.
Yes.
You went to the chapel.
There's male strippers.
The chapel.
There's male strippers everywhere. The bar, it's packed, dude. Everyone is like tight. And
hey, there's female strippers there too. Maybe you're not at the chapel. I don't think
there were no female strippers that night.
And they're not strippers. Actually, we rewind. They are not strippers. They are
not strippers.
Very well paid
go-go dancers. Go-go dancers. There's a bunch of dudes in Speedos. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's find Gerard. We're looking. We can't find him. I sit at the bar. I order a drink.
So much, yeah.
I was texting him like, "Yo, where are you? Where?" I was scared, dog. I was scared because there was a lot of big.
Oh my goodness!
Like I was a piece of meat.
Stop. Well, you are a little piece of meat. That's why. But before this, I told him he was more of the twinker style. No. It's mainly because you're like younger look. Like I mean, you play these high school, college.
Yeah.
Football players, high school football players.
Anyway, so by the end of the night, we're at bars that are literally right next to each other. I'm at this one freaking out, and Gerard's over at this one like, "Where are you guys?"
Yes.
And we don't even end up linking up. We just end up going home because it was just a long night.
Yeah.
But while I was at the bar, and you tell me, is this a gay like communication thing? I don't know. A guy walks up to me. He goes behind me, and he goes on the back of my ear, and I go. Ooh. I got so scared and I like grabbed the one girl that we were with and I was just like, stay with me, please.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Blowing on the back of the ear?
I've never played that move. I kind of like it, but I see where it's a little aggressive. I'm like, but so this is where I will say this. I don't know. That seems a little kind of sexual.
Whatever, dude. Everyone was hooking up. I don't know. I was like eyeballing the few girls that were there. But anyway, moral of the story, it was a long night.
It was. And I appreciate you for still coming through and supporting, no matter if I didn't get or did get the bread that I replaced I didn't replace it, but I said I would. And I'm so like, it was just so funny because like, to this day, it's something so minuscule, but like it's still like we both have very different ways of expressing
strong feelings
and talking about it. But I think that's a really great moment right there because we can still have a great friendship, and I still like love you, have so much respect for you, and appreciate
I love you too. And we have the same agent that I wanted to. I mean, I haven't asked you really, but I figured this would be a great chance. To turn it back to the industry. My commercial agent, I referred Gerard to, and then within a week you were signed by him.
Yes, that's one of the things I talked about in the first official episode when I had a guest, is it really is amazing, especially in this industry, to really surround yourself around like really great people that you know what I mean? Because I really, when you did that too, I really felt, I was like, oh my goodness, he like, because you were just like, hey, I think you would be really great for my commercial agent. I was like, oh snap, like, you know what I mean, helping out. And I've reached out to other people, or not reached out, but like helped other people
Right.
in different ways too. And it's just, it really goes around. And I think it's really cool to have those people that are willing to reach out. What sucks though is I signed with him, and then this quickly happened, like right
Yeah,
after.
and then this
I don't even
happened.
think
Yeah.
it was a month after I signed with him that we literally were in quarantine. Like the first audition that I got with him, which I really felt like I killed, like that, it was a Friday of the I did the audition on Friday, and then that like Tuesday and Wednesday, things in Hollywood and were being talked about shutting
Yeah,
down because of
that's when it.
Corona.
Yeah.
And that following Monday, everything just stopped, and it was just like, what?
Right. They might not have even
No.
filmed the commercial. Maybe they wanted to cast you, and they're
Oh,
just
I
waiting.
know they wanted to cast me. I know.
Yeah.
It was actually like the perfect casting for me. Like it really was so just
Good.
perfect. But I looking back on it, I still talk about how coronavirus and the quarantine has really at least supported me in kind of honing in where I wanted to prioritize my time and what I wanted to
Mhm.
do. And I'm really grateful that it turned out that I started a podcast. And so
Yeah.
thank you for quickly jumping in and being willing to talk and rehash the whole bread story.
You surprised me with that one. I was
I
like, really?
well, because I think it's really important to see like a forward way of thinking. And it's
Right.
funny to still have that and
Yeah.
then moments of like, oh no, you took that bread and yeah, you didn't, like, what, it's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so entertaining. At
Oh,
least
that was brought me back. But it's funny that you say like the whole connecting and the
well, let
storytelling
him
thing.
know to your roommate, because I don't think this has ever been said. I do apologize for that bread, and it went to a really good space and
Yeah.
supported
Okay.
me
Yeah.
in dealing with the Abbey for the rest of the night.
Yeah. I'll get right on that. I will get right on that. No, I was gonna say though, I mean, I think having this podcast is great because I think it's really important to still be connecting with people in some way, shape, or form. And talking is important. Like, so call your friends, call your family. And that reminds me, I've told you about it before. I'm a member of a immersive theater organization. We do live theater shows, right? And most of them happen in real life. It's immersive theater. So if you're in a scene that takes place in a garage, what you'll do is you'll actually show up and you'll go to a garage, and there'll be a guy there already in character, and you just walk up to him, and then the scene starts. But since this quarantine has happened and the 6 feet apart, distancing, all of that, and social distancing, we've had to kind of revamp because we usually do shows once a month or so, and we are immersive, so we touch our audience, we get close, you know what I mean, we talk. If you're playing a character that's supposed to be a brother or sister to somebody, you can pat them on the back and give them a hug. It makes sense, and the audience members like and appreciate that because it just feels real. But what we've started doing now is we are actually still in operation. Nocturnal Fandango is still up and running. We have now shifted to a new show called Anti-Social Distancing. And the Doomsday Carnival, which is like a remount of one of our old shows. So basically what we're doing is we're doing it all through the phone. And, storytelling can be done in many different ways, but ours is all about connecting, resonating, and really making it catered to the audience member. So when we call people, we have characters and we have stories and we have plot points that we want to get out and need to get out.
Yeah.
But it's a real conversation like this, where if you bring up the bread story and my character knows about the bread story, I can't just deny it and say what I got to say. We actually have to have a real phone call. So, once or twice a week, I'm on a different schedule than other people. There's people who do it 4 or 5 times a week. I do it a couple times a week, but it's really cool because I have this whole character, and I can't really tell you his name, but he's going through a lot, and he's experiencing this really weird, like, magical realism stuff. Like he's in quarantine and he's around. It's really cool to be able to connect and still do that storytelling.
Go back a little because your internet froze.
Yeah, it's okay. I was just saying, it's really cool because I have a character who's got like a whole set of problems that he kind of calls these people, and he introduces himself, and he basically says, I got your number from this random phone number generator, and I really just need a friend to talk to. And, they know what they signed up for. So they're like, oh yeah, let's talk. What's going on? And he starts telling him this stuff, and he thinks that the government is watching him, and there's other things that are happening. I can't ruin the plot points, but like some of we did a show last month, because we have shows that go on for like 3 weeks, where I'll call somebody on the weekend for 3 weekends, and then by the third one they've got story part, beginning, middle, and end, you know? And then there's also ones that are just one night. And I did one that was like basically a prank phone call where I called people 3 times. I had like a list of people to call. And I would call one of them at like 8 o'clock and I'd give them the first plot point. I had this whole story about I was their landlord and I was going to check out their property. And then, 30 minutes later, I call them again. And then I tell them, hey, I found something really weird in your property. There's a bunch of like badgers inside of your property. But don't worry, I'm going to take care of it. Is there anything you want me to do? And then they'll be like, oh, I don't want you to hurt the badgers or whatever. And I'm like, okay, totally cool. We talk about it, about how the problem solved. And then by the third call, I call them back and something else has happened. And the badgers have now ran me out of the house and I'm running and screaming and I'm going to have to come back. And, I want them to be assured that I'm going to take care of their property. You know what I mean? So it's just like fun storytelling, just finding ways to connect and keep storytelling, keep people engaged.
Yeah. Where can they find that? Or can it be seen as well? Or what's that? How you guys?
Yeah. So it's, you can find it on our website, nocturnalfandango.com, or at Nocturnal Fandango on Instagram. We are pretty mysterious. A lot of our shows we post like the titles of, and there's like codes you kind of have to break down to figure out how to get into the show or to figure out how to become a part of it. Yeah, it's a cool community of people who like to do that problem solving, but it's opening up and getting bigger and bigger because so many people are lacking that connection that, it's a fun thing to try. If you have a friend who lives alone, it's like, why not? It's like, instead of watching a movie, why don't you do a immersive experience?
Yeah, I'm about it.
Yeah, and they're not too expensive, especially these ones that are remote.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it here first. Make sure, can they see any, like a link or anything like that on your Instagram or something like that?
Yes, I do post about it on my Instagram. I also do follow them. So if you go to my Instagram and type in Nocturnal Fandango on who I'm following, you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much once again it's funny because we already did an ending because there was some difficulties at the middle. But thank you guys for tuning in back to Turning Coal into Diamonds. Thank you, Deshawn Cavanaugh, for jumping in here. And you guys make sure that you're turning coal into diamonds.
You can do it. Bye, guys.